entertain a motion.
Make the motion we approve the request as submitted.
Motion by Mr. Bullard, second by Ms. Darby. Please vote. Motion approved. Request number 3, Bossier Shredders Baseball Facility Usage Agreement for Benton High School Softball Field. Mr. Cottle.
Yes, ma'am. This is a local AU youth travel baseball team that is wanting to use the facilities at Benton High School. They are a nonprofit organization, and they're currently wanting to use the softball field and batting cages for practice 1 day a week through September of this year to May of next year. And all their contract has been sent in, approved, and certificate of insurance has been submitted also. Any questions?
Any questions?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Bullard?
Do I understand their insurance has been reviewed and approved? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Fine.
What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to
To approve?
approve.
Motion by
as
Mr.
stated.
Poole,
Second.
second by Ms. Darby. Please vote. Motion approved. Number 4, Parkway High School lacrosse field improvements. Mr. Cottle.
Yes, ma'am. This is just a reminder more, this is a discussion-only item. So we've been kind of, Parkway's been approached with, by a local entity, business group wanting to sort of develop a lacrosse field at Parkway High School. I've kind of presented a list there. There's several items that they're wanting to do, and this is going to be sort of a long-term plan. So we just kind of wanted to bring it to the board's attention. We are currently in the process of getting a meeting scheduled to sort of talk with them to get them our expectations of any of these items they want to be placed in the field have to be to our standards and our recommendations. And so we are really not ready at the time to bring anything to the board officially. We're just wanting to inform the board that this is something we're looking into. Any questions on
And
that?
they're considering fully funding all of these improvements?
Yes,
To
ma'am.
our specifications?
Yes, ma'am. And that's kind of, I think the idea is they, you know, as they have funding available, and I don't know at the start if they would actually be doing all these things. It'd just be more of a improving the field, and at some point adding A, then adding B, and adding C, you know, as we go along. So, and they are pretty much requesting a cooperative endeavor with us when that time comes.
Any more questions? Ms. Brotherton?
I'm not on this committee, but thank you, Madam Chairman. Is this field that they're planning to do this, is it being used now?
Yes, ma'am. It's kind of like I guess an auxiliary football field. They do have the practice field within the track, but this is kind of a secondary area. And one thing is they obviously we will have the availability to still practice school activities on this field as well.
Right, so we have permission, or that it's okay with the high school, Parkway High School, that this be done here?
Yes, ma'am. They've been approached. Mr. Burke has emailed this information to me during the talks, and we're all going to meet in a future date to kind of work out all the specifics. But as I understand it, they are okay with this.
Oh, okay, thank you, thank you.
Any other questions?
Ms. Smith, I just wanted to comment what Mr. Cottom is saying. And we've looked at this, we've talked about it. We just wanted the board to know that we've been approached about it. We've not made any decisions about what to bring to the board as far as the improvements. We just didn't want the board to hear about it in the community and not know about that this conversation is happening. We have specs that we're going to take back to the group that is proposing this to it, that things have to be done to Bossier Parish School Board specifications in order for us to move forward.
Any other questions? Mr. Bullard?
Thank you. Sort of a follow-up to Mr. Rowland's comments. At some point, they're going to request a cooperative agreement. Would you just make sure this is not an open-ended thing?
Yes, sir.
That we do have some
Terms.
set terms in there, so that we don't start and then it just drags along. Once we begin a phase, that phase goes to completion, and again, to comply with our requirements.
Yes.
And our cooperative endeavor agreements now are a lot more stringent than what they were. The governor will have to approve all cooperative endeavor agreements moving forward.
Well, and we are very thankful and blessed that our community, chooses to sponsor activities, but we do have to be careful with what we're doing and where we're doing it when it comes to projects of that magnitude.
Absolutely.
Do we have any recommendation from the board?
It doesn't require
Oh.
any approval, does it?
Did you want approval
Make a
for
motion to-
No, ma'am, it's, no, ma'am,
Okay,
it was
okay.
just
Oh, it's just
for the
discussion.
information.
Okay, all right, I thought you were wanting the permission to do that. Okay, all right. Any other discussion on that item? Number 5, Plain Dealing High School walkway canopies. Mr. Roget.
Good evening. Number 5 is Plain Dillon Walkways. This is a request made by Plain Dillon Principal Mr. Edwards. He is trying to regroup in how his campus functions, and there's a few areas that he would like to have covered walkway to. So we went and we quantified those and are requesting your permission to move forward with those with his committed construction funds and the leftover, use the rest of their committed construction funds and finish it up with the construction fund interest.
Any questions?
Madam Chairman, I will agree with that. I just want to comment one thing. Sounds like Mr. Edwards and Ms. Poole have been ganging up on you. Seems like every time we come together, they've got more things on the plate. So, but thank you for taking care of them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards has hit the ground running, and he's doing some great things, he and his staff. So Plain Dealing is on the, moving up, and I know their enrollment's increasing, I believe, Mr. Edwards, in elementary school. And you've had several new families, so we're excited about future growth there. And if there's no other questions, I'd like to make a motion to move forward.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms.
Second.
Poole, second by Mr. Buller. Please vote. Motion passes. Item number 6, request Plain Dealing High School baseball and softball facility improvements. Mr. Roget.
Request from Plain Dillon, second request. They would like to have a baseball and softball scoreboard. Currently, the softball does not have any scoreboard. The baseball has a scoreboard that's been in place for 25-plus years. I don't think it's had any electricity ever ran to it. It obviously is not, it's just a fixture. We gave some rough numbers based off some quotes back in '22. These numbers have a few contingencies in them based off of drilling piers, that if we don't have to do that, then obviously those numbers will come down a few bucks on that. But this is a recommendation from Mr. Edwards and Plain Dillon High.
Board comment?
Second?
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Darby, second by Ms. Poole. Yep, Mr. Cochran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The new signage, it will have electricity, everything running to it, right?
In this budget, we have electricity. We've ran new electricity to the softball field for the lights that were installed this past year, and we're going to branch off of that to connect to that scoreboard. We had some electrical ran to some areas owned by the baseball field over the last several years, and we were kind of prepping for that, so we got it in the area to extend for the new scoreboard to go in.
Okay.
So we put a little contingency in there for that also, and hopefully my contingencies are high, actually, and hopefully it's a lot less than that to do.
Well, hopefully so, but we want to make sure that they get some really good scoreboards out there. If we're going to do it, we might as well do it right?
I agree.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Newman?
thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Question, and this might be for staff. Have we been, and I just want to ask the hard question, have we been consistently filling teams for both of these sports out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And
Fair
And
enough.
I had asked
I was just
that
curious.
question before.
I thought at one
Agenda.
point we
Yeah.
didn't have teams out there for a couple of years running, so that's the only reason I was asking that.
Softball team made playoffs last year,
Had
baseball
playoffs.
team
Yes, I was
had
gonna
20,
make sure we got that in there.
20-plus players. And I'll say, just to compliment Mr. Edwards, his staff, his athletic facilities, right now, if you drove up there, are game ready. They look fantastic. And we're extremely proud of what he's done up there.
Fair enough.
Mr. Faulting, did you have a question?
I was going to ask a question. Will the school boards for baseball and softball, will they be able to have signage so they can fundraise for advertisers?
We will take a look at that, yes, sir. in the
Just want to be able for them to sustain, and be able to improve.
There was an additional cost for that, but it was very minimal, so we will, if we get permission to move forward, we'll probably be able to squeeze that into that contingency.
Ms. Brotherton?
Yes, thank you. The Houghton scoreboard could be used.
So we started vetting that over the last couple of days with this, and I started running work order past on that board and seeing how many issues we had, and it's had quite a few issues, which I think is the reason why they took it down, and then it's been sitting for a while, so it's kind of a double whammy, and I'd rather not do that if it was a newer, I would, but you gotta buy a controller and a lot of different things. I would hate to put it up and then turn around and have to put thousands of dollars in it and then be right where we could have been in the first place.
The only reason I asked for the.
It's a great question, yes, ma'am, and we did take a look at that, and we talked with Mr. Haney this week about that also.
No problem.
Mr. Newman?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. One more quick question. Why is one of them more than the other?
Baseball, softball, they're just different sizes. I think baseball has more
They both the
inning
same,
stuff.
the book's the same on both of them. That's why I'm asking, like, if the girls needs to be the same as the boys, because like when you look at a scorebook, it's exactly the same. So that's why I was just curious.
It was the same recommendation that we've done over the years for all the facilities, so I'd have to, I really, off this quote, don't remember what the difference is.
That's
but
fine.
one is,
Usually you try and make them equal, and I was just like curious why if the girls was just less expensive or if it was smaller, whatever, but I mean, I support it either way. I was just curious
I
if we need to
apologize
make
for
them
not
both the
having
same.
that detail on it, but it's, there's something different on the baseball than there is the softball, and I don't know what that is, sir.
If there's no more discussion, we have a motion by Ms. Darby and a second by Ms. Poole. Please vote. All those in favor? Thank you. And that will be funded out of either their committed construction funds that's left or the construction fund interest and premium, correct?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Request number 7, Elm Grove Elementary School bus salute. Mr. Cottom.
Yes, ma'am. So just to recap, this project was part of our South Bossier Improvement Plan. Originally had a project budget of $200,000. The idea was to look at possibly adding a additional way out from the existing bus loop on the south and east side. So after this project was approved and during sort of discovery and design phase, it was determined that that initial thought will not work due to the constraints of the existing wing and our property line. So then we started looking at ideas of what else we could do. So we sort of focused at the north grass, they call it, I guess, the playground area. And we kind of developed an option that will work. It separates car line from bus traffic, and we're just kind of bringing to the board as that project is substantially more expensive than the original budget. So we're pretty much just seeing what the board's pleasure would be if we would like to move forward with continuing with this project with an estimated total project budget that does contribute construction, contingencies, there's soft costs, which is engineering fees and stuff in there. So it's kind of where we are with this. So questions?
I have a little sticker shock right now.
Yes, ma'am.
That something was 200,000, and then we had said, well, maybe it would be, I think, 400 to 600 or something in there, and now it's at 900. I mean, is this the only option that we could do? I mean, is it?
Well, it's, the original 200,000, I mean, it was a totally different concept. It was utilizing a lot of the existing sort of drop-off areas and canopies at the south of the campus. So it's pretty much just a road to be constructed. Now this is pretty much everything: road, loop, sidewalk area, canopy.
And how many students are at Elm Grove Elementary?
Gosh, is Ms. Meter here?
How many students are at Elm Grove Elementary?
365.
Well, I think the issue, we originally put this out there because of the tracks right
Yes,
there. And
yes.
that's the issue, is that literally it's, what, 15 yards
It
from the
is.
tracks, the only entrance to the facility? And that's why we initially put this out there years ago. Mr. Roger and them, they did their due diligence trying to figure it out. That's where we got the original dollar amount. Once they came back and said, hey, that's not really going to work, we need to be able to really truly separate it out, we kind of tabled it.
Yes.
And staff has resurfaced it and said, hey, we really need to try and figure something out here. Mr. Rowland, Mr. Cottom, brought it up, and I'm like, hey, it's what it was years ago. If we've got another solution, let's look at it. And this is what they came up with. And I feel, and if we can, put this on the tail end of what's currently in phase now with B&G dollars between the interest and revenue premiums from the bond fund, and then any excess left from whatever we have. If we can approve this with the caveat that it'll be paid for anything that's left over at the end of what is currently in phase and approved right now. But as far as coming out of additional pocket money from general fund or anything like that, I don't really support that, but I would like to see this put in there as, hey, if all this other stuff plays out and we get revenues from this and we save money here and there on different projects and excess on projects, then it'll slowly trickle over to that, and then once we get to that number, okay, move forward with that project. That's kind of what I would like to see done with this. I don't know if that's possible.
So you're
with
not
the
wanting
way
to
that we're
dedicate your
structured.
land,
What's that?
you're not wanting to dedicate your land money that's sitting there
At this
for that?
point, recent conversations between state, police jury, everybody in multiple parishes, that project is so far just discombobulated right now. Us sitting on that money is going to cost us more in fees than the benefit it would down the road. And unfortunately, yes, I feel like we need to transfer anything that's dedicated. Is that money still dedicated to that million, or was it now?
It's, yes, sir, we have $1,052,000 that's committed to Parkway High School.
Okay,
Committed
so,
funds.
Ms. Smith, that million that we have set aside for that land that we've been talking, the toll bridge and the whole Parkway renovation and the Arthur Ray Teague
Right.
Parkway renovation, not Parkway the school, but the road renovations, I do feel like we're at the point now where we need to just take that million, that project so far out, we're going to pay more in fees and penalties on that million and go ahead and utilize it for this and other projects. And then once they settle the dust in 6-7 years on that bridge and the renovations to the Arthur Ray Teague, then we come back to address that. Does all that make sense? Sorry.
Makes more sense.
Didn't mean to ramble.
Good sense.
Mr. Bullard?
Mr. Newman, would it be acceptable to go ahead and just try to get this project moving ahead and go ahead and dedicate or redirect those funds at this time rather than waiting to the end, which we're almost at the end of the program, but just to make things move forward and alleviate these potential fees and penalties, to just go ahead and, rather than put it at the end,
Yeah.
just go ahead and redirect.
Yes, Mr. Bullard, it would be, I do feel like it would be beneficial if we just went ahead and redirected those funds, because what's going to happen is it's going to turn into depreciating value, and we're going to go from $1 million to spend on it, and by the time we start paying fees and penalties and et cetera, then we're losing money. And we don't want to lose money because we can't use that to build.
Right.
So, to your point, yes, I do feel like it would be beneficial to redirect those funds to this project.
If you'll make that motion, I'll second it.
We good? Anybody else? Any other questions?
I just have one other comment. Have we reached out to the police jury, or is there anybody on the railroad commission, anybody that would assist with taking that traffic away from that area? on a cooperative endeavor of
state-
some sort?
I think we went to the state a couple of years ago, and they were like, no, it's you, because it's a parish road and it's state, so it's not city, but they were like, hey, the railroad doesn't care. I hate to say it, but, I mean, and I'm sorry if anybody works for the railroad, but the railroad is the railroad.
Well, we have a couple of state representatives now that we didn't have 2 years ago, so I don't
Yeah.
know if that would be worth pursuing.
We tried to get, we've even been denied turning lanes in other areas of the parish that they've been fighting for that are needed just as much as this. And state's pretty much been no help because we have a multi-billion-dollar bridge going in right now. So we're pretty much tapped on state funding in the parish.
We did reach out to, because the new entrance will be off Highway 154. So then we did reach out to the DOTD, and nothing official, but they did not have a problem with us having a second drive entering our facility.
Okay,
So it's, I mean, I know that doesn't answer your direct question, but that's something that popped up.
okay.
Can I have a question?
Ms. Brotherton?
I just want a question. So when we're talking this, is it gonna come around the other, I know where the entrance is, and I don't know where this is.
It's going to be
So it-
further away from the track.
Well,
So,
it's not very far to the track from the.
Right now,
from
it's
that-
not.
Right.
So as soon as you go over, you immediately have to turn right into the
Exactly.
facility. Now you're going to go probably, what, another 150,
Further
200
down.
yards? Probably
it's
quarter
probably
mile?
200-300 yards.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, it'd probably be a quarter mile, maybe more, before you
Yeah.
turn in now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's gonna,
Still gonna be up on.
Keep our buses from being
but it
hung
would
up,
help.
you know.
There's just a very
I
little
guess the track is
driveway
here.
there.
The track is
Yes.
here.
Yeah. Like I said, we tried to address this a couple years ago, and it just,
Yeah.
the idea and the plan that we had just wasn't going to be feasible, and staff has come back after, you know, just trying to figure out what we can do, and this is the best solution, so.
Well, that's mine and Bob's district, so I was just saying.
I just to note, and that'll be the bus drop-off is what's proposed?
Yes, ma'am. Car line will still stay on the existing drive that's adjacent to the tracks. And that'll be car line and then, yes, then bus loop comes in, bus loop only on this new part.
Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Cochran?
Mr. Cottom, is this concrete or asphalt?
We haven't got that
In your
far,
bid.
but I'm sure it's concrete. It is, yes, it's concrete.
Okay.
It's not that much more expensive. I mean, asphalt's not that much cheaper anymore. Really? It's not that much cheaper anymore. Yes. Mr. Bullard?
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Cochran, you may be a bigger help here than anyone, but would it not be appropriate to explore the possibility of a cooperative endeavor between the school board and the police jury? We've done this on more than one occasion where we basically pay for the raw materials. And I'm sorry, Ms. Brotherton, I was going to give you a pass on it.
I said that 20 minutes ago.
Oh, you did, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That was in one, I was dozing at the time. Seriously, we have utilized their services in the past, and it has been a big cost savings factor for us. Has any thought been given to that?
No, at this point, no, sir, but we can definitely reach out to them and
I think
See.
we absolutely should explore the potential for a cooperative endeavor there, because it has been a significant savings to us in the past.
I can back that.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This time I'd like to make a motion that we redirect previously allocated funds to whatever they were tied up for specifically. I think it was land is what the terminology was down there for Arthur A. Teague and the toll bridge. I'd like to make a motion that we redirect those funds to Elm Grove Elementary entrance, I guess
Second.
the bus loop entrance away from the tracks. Two-part motion that we redirect those funds and approve this project to move forward.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Newman and a second by Mr. Bullard. Please vote by show of hands. Unanimously approved. Any other questions, comments?
Well,
One more, Mr. Newman?
I don't think it needs to be in the minutes on this, but we do want to try and get with the police jury on that.
Yes, sir, I've got
I mean,
that.
I don't think that's something that needs to be in the official record,
Okay.
but just making sure Mr. Cotton knows that. We want to work with the police jury. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cotton.
Yes, ma'am.
No other business. Meeting is adjourned.